All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to December's window shopping episode. If you don't know what this is, or you're new to the channel, every month I like to do a quick rundown on notable items on the central market to see what kind of trends of items are going up and down, telling you if you should enhance, make it yourself, buy it, sell it, profit, and all that stuff. So yeah, we like to look at the trends on the North American central market. It's probably a good idea to watch it even if you are on other servers as well, just to see like, hey, how is everything doing and this stuff. But overall, BDO, as we all know, is an event-driven economy. So that means like whatever event is running at the time probably sets the price on, certain items. Like, for example, if they gave a free pen black star, suddenly black stars go down in price. That's a real thing, by the way, that happened. But yeah, so we're moving into December. Holiday events. There's probably going to be, in the next few weeks or some, probably going to be like a huge grind event, sales and everything. So you never know. But anyway, I like to talk about the notable items. So whether you're a beginner or an endgame player, you just find some items and talk about it. So I guess we'll just go down the list and we'll talk about main hands. So if you are a new player and you're thinking, should I go for a main hand or Awakening Black Star when you get that like free Tet or Pen one that they give away from the event, or not an event, it's just kind of a permanent thing now. So everyone should have at least one Pen Black Star at this point. And I would always recommend people to get the main hand before the Awakening, just because it does give accuracy, and some spots, even if you aren't a PvPer, do require a little bit of accuracy. So I always think that main hand is a little bit more important than Awakening, even if you are on Awakening. All right, so let's look at these. Tet Black Stars, it looks like it's going up a little bit, but as of like last month, it was like 9 billion, and now it's like a little bit under 10 billion. Like, I'm pretty sure if you put an order on minimum price, it will actually sell because people just want to get rid of them. So it looks like it's going up, but realistically, 9 was, on the higher end, and here is like 10 at the higher end. So even if you are selling it, it's kind of like taxed money anyway. So if you're buying it, put it at a minimum price. I guarantee you it'll sell, or you'll get your order filled. As for pens, yeah, what happened here? This was November, like between November 25th to now. And so this was Thanksgiving time. What happened then? What I know that happened was this thingy, they did give everyone a free Jay's Hammer if you got the event quest going, or like you got all of the things over here. So most people probably save this for the last one to get, or like in the middle, and that's probably what they got. And then people probably started slamming Pen Black Stars, and that's what probably drove the price down for a little bit. Then it recovered. So realistically, even with Pen Black Stars, if you put an order at minimum price, it'll probably fill in less than 24 hours. And then as for everything else, if you were to ask me this like a year or two ago, there was actually discussion between, like, maybe not even a year ago, maybe like 2-3 years ago, Zarka versus Often. But realistically, with the free Pen Black Star they gave everyone and stuff, it's just Black Star, and then going forward, half of these aren't even, like, most of these aren't even relevant anymore. All right, Awakening weapons. It doesn't matter which one you look at, they're all probably the same price. Yeah, so Black Star, let's see. The only notable weapons these days are Black Stars going into Sovereign, so yeah, that's where it's at. Okay, so these are a little bit higher cost and value than the main hands, but there are more sitting on the market. So that means if you were trying to enhance one for profit and then directly just sell them, it's probably going to be the Awakening or Offhand, but you know, it is more listed, so it might be harder to sell. What happened here? Last one that was sold, Vediant, was last month. Yeah. I guess depending on how many other classes have sold them. Let's see, what are the popular classes? Let's see. Mega is pretty popular. There's no listings for this one. Wusa fell off a little bit. I still think Wusas are really good, actually. Cabelius for Sages. Lawns are good for PvE. Strikers are always good. What happened? There's not a lot of pens listed. There's a lot of tets, but not pens. Zerker. Alright, so I guess, like, even with notable classes, there aren't too many listed, so you can probably get it at, you know, minimum. You could probably, if you're selling it, list it at maximum. If you're buying it, it'll probably still sell it if you put an order on minimum, which is kind of, you know, on opposite spectrums, but I think it depends on what you're doing. All right, sub weapons. These are always fun to talk about. So if you're new to the game, Kudum, PvE, Nuver, PvP, Blackstar, PvE, the upgraded version of Kudum. And so I guess the common question is, what is the difference between a pen Kudum at Capris 20 versus a pen Blackstar? The difference is, you see here on the Blackstar how it gives extra AP against monsters. At max level, assuming pen Blackstar and pen Kudum Capris 20, you get more monster damage, but you get less accuracy. And on the Kudum, you get more accuracy, but less monster damage. So at high-end grinding, the Blackstar is technically better. Will you notice it? Not really. I mean, very minimal. And then accuracy can be obtained by a lot of other things these days, so I would always just go Blackstar straight up. Okay, well, there are no Blackstars listed right now. That's interesting. So yeah, I guess these are the better ones to be enhancing for profit, just because there's less orders, but I guess it depends on the class you're going for as well. And yeah, so let's see, Nuver prices. If you are a PvPer, holy dude, that is not a good chart. Oh my goodness. That is like the most reverse stonks I've ever seen. It's a good time to be buying one if you are a PvPer though, but not if you're enhancing them. I guess here's what I would do. If you want one for PvP, obviously buy it, but if you don't need it immediately, what you could do is just start enhancing it and try to build up Failstacks, because eventually if you have Failstacks, you're going to need it for sovereign weapons or Kharazad accessories. So, like, if you could just Failstack it, and here's what's happened. You either build a Failstack or the Nuver goes pen. One of two is going to happen, and then either is a good choice. So, yeah, just buy one, start slamming it. If it goes pen, it's great. If you get Failstacks, also great. Is it the most optimal? No, but it's always a good outcome, at least. All right, so there aren't too many armors I want to talk about, because you could watch the previous months that I've always talked about these, and I tell you exactly the same thing. But because more people are getting into the Fallen God, you know, like Fallen God armors, all these things, I just want to once again reiterate like what stacks I use to enhance mine. And I personally do think it is better to enhance it from Tri to Tet, just because the value of it is pretty high, and it's like it's worth more than like pen Blackstars and everything. So I do think on average, most people will be able to enhance it for cheaper than its value. But if you were enhancing it yourself, every single piece of mine was self-enhanced. And base to pry, I would probably start at like an 80 stack, go up to like a 100 or something, 110. And then from pry to duo, you start at like, let's say you built an extra 110 stack because you kept failing or something. Then you could go use that one up to like 130-ish for duo. It kind of like up 20 stacks every time, but duo to try, I would probably start at like either 130, 150 stack and then go up to 200. 200 is kind of high, and I think you will actually want to, like, if you make a 200 stack, those are actually valuable these days because Kharazad, you do use it past pen. So yeah, around 150 to 200. 200 being on the kind of high end, actually. And then from try to tet, I personally use 245 stacks, but that was also when these were 200 bill each. I still think like 250 stacks are okay, because even then that's like a 5% success rate. So these are expensive items, admittedly, so I'd probably still use a 230 plus up to like 270. If you make a 270, start over, because I guarantee you that 270 is going to be valuable later on. But yeah, aside from that, next things I want to talk about are the differences between like blue and green Ator shoes and Dawn gloves, because one is DR, the other one is evasion. Choose one for your class. How do you know which one is for your class? You look at your passives down here. Does your class give evasion bonus? Then you are an evasion class. Does it not? Then you are a DR class. Even evasion classes still go DR just because of how things are wonky scaling these days. But it's one of those questions where, do you have like 750 plus gear score? If yes, then you have the option to go evasion or DR. Even very high-end players, myself included, I'm still DR, but I'm not also an evasion class either. So if you are a PvEer, DR is generally safer, because if you grind at like a super high-end spot, sure, you evade a lot of things, but that one hit that does get you, that's going to chunk your health, and then it's going to throw your rotation out of normal. So unless you're a PvPer, chances are DR is probably overall better. But if you're PvEing, most of the time it doesn't really matter, to be honest. All right, so anyway, yeah, that goes for the shoes and the gloves for both of these. When in doubt, just go DR, straight up. Like, until you think you need evasion, just go DR. You can swap these from the NPC. I think it just costs like a few materials. It's really not expensive to swap it. So like, even if you have a try or a tet, it doesn't matter what tier or level, you can just swap it for the same thing. And so it's not like you'll enhance it again. Accessories. Oh boy. Ever since Kharazad came out, what was it, like 2 months ago or something at this point? 2, maybe 3 months ago? Accessory prices have never recovered. And, so how do I start this? If you're basically, if you are not at Kharazad, you want to go Deboreka's. And then if you get a Deboreka, you can exchange it for a pen Kharazad. If you have a pen Deboreka, you can exchange it for a Nav, which is a tier 9, essentially. And yeah, so is it better to buy a tet and exchange it versus self-enhancing? I think it's cheaper, from what I've seen in charts and stuff, to self-make it. Like, let's say you make your Kharazad at base, enhance it up to pen. People said it is cheaper, but I've never done it myself, because by the time this came out, I was exchanging directly. So I never really had that problem. But the one thing is that you do use kind of a lot of fail stacks on these, so just keep that in mind. In my Discord, I do have a chart somewhere that shows you all the fail stacks. So if you want to see that, it's in the channel somewhere. But you are using more fail stacks. Is it overall cheaper silver-wise and less risky? Absolutely. So if you don't like the whole extra downgrade step of failing, just make it yourself. But is it worth buying a pen Debo just for the Nav? I actually don't think so. Like, let's say these are 270 bill each, and you have a pen tier Kharazad. I think you can actually make Nav. Like, I had pen Debos for these 3 slots before it came out, so I exchanged it directly. And I think I'm actually straight up average on enhancing all these. So, like, whatever stack I used, it would actually be like a 1 in 6 or 1 in 5 or something, whatever I use. So I'm average. And so I think it is cheaper to self-enhance it. The only downside is you do need to have pretty decent fail stacks to do it, which I already had, but I know like newer players aren't just going to have like 10, 200 plus stacks ready to go. So yeah, that's the thing. So it's one of those things where you just kind of have to calculate everything before you actually do it. Yeah, so the price of Debos are surprising, actually. Last week, I was actually selling a Debo Next for like 700, and now they're under 600 again. Kind of wild, because I've actually been grinding Dekia Ash Forest because I want that dumb DR artifact that I probably won't even use. I just kind of want it. So, yeah, here we are. Anyway, so Debo Next, I do believe if you are transitioning from Deberekas to Kharazad, or even if you're just going into Deberekas, the one you want to go for first is the necklace, simply because it just straight up gives you more AP than all the other pieces. Even at the same level, just more. So I would go for necklace, followed by belt, followed by rings, and then leave the earrings to last, simply because these give like the least amount of stats for your enhancing value or the cost of it. So yeah, that's what I would do in my opinion. I'm gonna make an updated artifact setup that I have, like with everything I have. I'm still working on all of these, and plus I'm actually trying to get some new ones, so I want to wait till that's done before I make a updated guide for everything. And then yeah, so there's these. If you're a PvEer, you use this one. If you are a PvPer or just like having a defensive build for whatever reason, you get one of these two. And so I've been trying to grind for the DR one actually, but if I get an evasion one, awesome. Okay, so next, what do I want to talk about? Alchemy Stones. We talk about this every month. For most people, Vel's Heart is what you want to aim for. People above Vel's Heart have like Splendids because they are better. And I'll explain it once again on why Splendids are actually better. So for your average person, you're just like, oh, okay. So in Exalted's, Vel's Heart is 3 AP, 4 DP. The Splendid, you can upgrade it to Exalted and get to 4 DP. So essentially, you're losing 3 AP. And the way it makes up for it, so is if you look at the effect, right? So right here, the Vel's Heart gives you plus 8 AP, but the Splendid gives 13. So that's plus 5, and then the AP is, you know, plus 5 versus plus 3. However, the reason why it's an endgame thing is because it's, as you get higher up into AP brackets, it's harder to get more stats, and you know, so Splendid is actually better. Plus the whole accuracy, the cast speed, and all the other stuff bonuses. It does make it marginally better than Avel's at top 1%. And it's stupidly hard to actually get one. And So Vela's Heart for a majority of us are going to be the end game. But if you're lucky enough to make it yourself and or get an order on it, then yeah, good for you. So I used to have a protection stone, and then I was like, I don't actually use this. But once again, same thing. I do think the Resplendent is nice. You could also use, what is it? This thingy, the Perilla's Star. I don't remember if that was a seasonal reward. Let me go check. I think it might have been a seasonal. Let me see if you can still get it. Oh, it's over here. You can get the Perilla's Star. So yeah, if you think you need it, this is a PvE protection stone. I do think it's not bad. Like, realistically, will you need it? Probably not. Because if you're going for PvE clear speed, you just want more damage. Obviously, you don't get hit. And then the Trent's tier, this has to be an event because I don't remember where I got it. But I actually used this one more than my Khan's Heart. This is for all you life skillers out there. And if I could get a Splendid, obviously I would. But if you don't, what you would do is either get a Khan's Heart if you want more mastery on the side. But if you are just trying to level up faster, I do think the life XP Trent's tier one is actually nicer. And so I use it mostly for gathering just because that one is a time limited one in energy. But yeah, if you just want to boost up your levels, then just use whatever. Either way, they're both fine. So if you can do Khan's Heart or Khan 3 times with your guild, I think you actually do just get this one for free. If you just have to do it with your guild. So yeah, that's about it. Let's see, next. I actually think that's, for the most part, it. We talked about all the notable items, and I guess for all of you life skillers out there, you might want to change your fishing rod if you had it, because they did do the change. They added more valuable fish. So the one I use is actually the Balanos fishing rod, simply because that one is wait, hold on. Is there a way I can see this one? Yeah, I used the Balanos fishing rod just because the auto fish time minus 25% is nicer. I do believe there is a fishing, yeah, chance to catch rare fish and chance to catch big fish. I have not tested it or read too much about it in terms of the big fish or rare fish percentage. But if you are AFK fishing, like let's say overnight or something, and you want to go, without having to wake up in the middle of the night, the Balanos fishing rod for auto fish time is pretty nice, especially. So my other character is my fisher now. If you have the fish tank, there's a quest in, what is it? Let's see. The Sea Palace. I don't know if that was event only, but you were able to get a 50 slot one. But I think you can actually buy another one, the 50 slot thingy over here. Is it worth it? I would probably not buy it, to be honest. It's like $30 for this. Only if you fish a lot, like, But aside from that, probably not. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully you guys learned a few things, and if you have any questions on anything specific, happy to answer them. You could join the Discord, leave it in the comments and all that stuff. Happy to point all of you guys in the right direction. And with that said, I'm out for today. Join the Discord if you have any questions and everything. Everything's down below, all my socials and everything. And I will see you guys later. Peace.